Why would a political system that deliberately created the role of leader of the opposition to strengthen accountability and pluralism later decide that the very person holding that role could no longer continue in it? That question sits at the heart of one of the most consequential parliamentary episodes in Singapore's recent political history. In January 2026, Pritam Singh, Secretary-General of the Workers' Party and Singapore's first formally designated leader of the opposition, was stripped of that title. To understand why this happened, it is necessary to look beyond headlines and trace the sequence of events, the institutional context of the leader of the opposition role, the parliamentary motion that triggered the decision, and the arguments put forward by ministers, experts, and Singh himself. What emerges is not just a story about one individual, but a broader debate about the rule of law, parliamentary norms, and how Singapore's political system differs from, and sometimes mirrors, Westminster-style democracies. The role of leader of the opposition is a relatively new feature in Singapore's political landscape. For decades after independence, Singapore operated without a formal opposition leader. The People's Action Party dominated Parliament, and opposition MPs, when they existed, operated without special institutional recognition. That changed after the 2020 general election, when the Workers' Party achieved its strongest electoral performance since independence, winning 10 seats, including a second group representation constituency. In response, then Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong formally designated Pritam Singh as leader of the opposition. The move was framed as an acknowledgement that Singaporeans wanted not just a strong government, but also a stronger opposition presence in Parliament. The role was intended to institutionalize the opposition's function, enabling more robust scrutiny of government policies and laws. With the title came tangible benefits. The leader of the opposition received a higher annual allowance than ordinary MPs, additional staffing support, an office, and greater speaking time in parliamentary debates. More significantly, the role included access to confidential government briefings on matters of national security and foreign relations, as well as briefings during national crises or emergencies. These privileges reflected the seriousness with which the position was treated, even though it was not enshrined in the Constitution or any statute. From the outset, however, the role was unusual when compared to Westminster systems. In countries like the United Kingdom, the leader of the opposition is not appointed by the head of government. Instead, the position automatically falls to the leader of the largest opposition party, defined by numerical strength in Parliament. In Singapore, by contrast, the role existed by executive designation, granted by the Prime Minister and revocable by the same authority. That structural difference would later become central to the controversy surrounding Pritam Singh's removal. The events that led to his loss of the title began several years earlier, with a parliamentary incident involving then Workers' Party MP Raisa Khan. In August 2021, Khan made a speech in Parliament describing an alleged incident involving police misconduct toward a sexual assault victim. It later emerged that this account was untrue. Khan eventually admitted to lying and resigned from Parliament and the Workers' Party, and she was fined for abusing parliamentary privilege. The matter did not end there. Parliament convened a committee of privileges to investigate how the falsehood came to be stated and whether other MPs had been involved. During the committee hearings, attention turned to the actions and testimony of Pritam Singh, who was party leader at the time. Singh was later charged and convicted for lying under oath to the Committee of Privileges. The court found that his testimony was false and that his actions indicated he did not want Khan to clarify her lie earlier. He was fined $14,000, and his conviction was upheld after he lost an appeal in December 2025. While criminal convictions against sitting MPs are rare in Singapore, the case took on additional weight because it involved statements made to Parliament itself. In Singapore's system, honesty in parliamentary proceedings is treated as foundational, not procedural. The integrity of Parliament relies on the assumption that MPs speak truthfully, especially before formal committees. Following the High Court's dismissal of Singh's appeal, attention returned to Parliament. On January 14, 2026, Leader of the House Indrajit Raja tabled a motion calling on MPs to express regret at Singh's conduct and to agree that his actions rendered him unsuitable to continue as Leader of the Opposition. The motion was carefully framed. It did not seek to impose legal penalties or formally remove Singh from his parliamentary seat, nor did it purport to directly remove him from the Leader of the Opposition role, which remained within the Prime Minister's discretion. Instead, it asked Parliament to take a position on whether Singh's conduct, in light of the court's findings and the Committee of Privileges' conclusions, undermined public confidence in Parliament and Singapore's political system. In her speech, Indrajit Raja emphasised that the issue went beyond a single lapse or tactical error. She argued that lying to Parliament and its committees strikes at the trust Singaporeans place in their institutions. According to this view, the problem was not merely that Singh had been convicted, but that the conduct involved repeated untruths, failures of leadership, and a willingness to double down on falsehoods, even under oath. The motion also pointed to the broader implications for Parliament's standing. Ministers stressed that honesty and integrity are not optional values in Singapore's system of governance. They are the foundation on which public trust rests. If Parliament was seen as tolerating dishonesty among its members, especially those in leadership positions, confidence in the institution would erode. A key part of the argument was that rigorous standards should be applied to all lawmakers, regardless of whether they are opposition MPs or members of the ruling party. Examples were cited of past PAP MPs and office holders who resigned or stepped aside following misconduct or criminal charges, sometimes even before conviction. The message was that accountability must apply across the board. When Singh rose to respond, he rejected the motion's conclusions. He maintained that his conscience was clear and that he disagreed with the court's findings. While he acknowledged the importance of honesty, integrity, and respect for the law as general principles, he contested the characterization of his conduct as dishonorable or unbecoming. Singh also pointed out that the Leader of the Opposition role was not a constitutional or statutory appointment. He said he had never assumed the position was guaranteed and emphasized that his focus remained on serving residents and advocating for Singaporeans in Parliament. He lifted the party whip, allowing Workers' Party MPs to vote according to their own judgment. A central theme of Singh's response was the idea that a criminal conviction does not automatically erase an individual's belief in their own innocence. He drew attention to historical examples to argue that personal conviction and legal judgment can coexist, even if they are in tension. From his perspective, accepting the finality of the legal process did not require accepting the moral conclusions drawn from it. Nevertheless, when the vote was taken, the outcome reflected Parliament's numerical reality. The motion was passed, with all Workers' Party MPs present voting against it and the PAP-dominated House voting in favour. The passage of the motion formally recorded Parliament's view that Singh's conduct made him unsuitable to continue as Leader of the Opposition. The following day, Prime Minister Lawrence Wong acted on that view. In a statement, he said that in light of Singh's criminal convictions and Parliament's considered position, it was no longer tenable for him to continue in the role. Wong emphasised the need to uphold the rule of law and the dignity and integrity of Parliament. He informed the Workers' Party that it could nominate another MP for the position, provided the individual was not involved in the Raisa Khan case. With that decision, Pritam Singh ceased to be Leader of the Opposition. He remained an MP and the Secretary-General of the Workers' Party, but he lost the additional privileges associated with the role, including allowances, staffing support, and the right of first reply in debates. The episode sparked a wider debate among legal scholars and political analysts about the nature of the Leader of the Opposition role itself. Because the position is not grounded in law, its creation and removal rest entirely on executive discretion. Some experts argued that this undermines the separation between government and opposition, since the head of government effectively controls the recognition of the opposition leader. Comparisons were drawn to Westminster systems, where the leader of the opposition is defined by statute or convention, based on parliamentary numbers rather than suitability judgments. In those systems, disputes over who holds the role are typically resolved by the Speaker, not the executive. Some scholars suggested that Singapore should legislate or even constitutionally entrench the role to provide clearer criteria for appointment and removal. Doing so, they argued, would strengthen parliamentary democracy by ensuring that the opposition's institutional status reflects electoral mandates rather than executive grace. Others took a more pragmatic view, noting that Singapore's political system already differs from Westminster norms in multiple ways, including the presence of nominated MPs and non-constituency MPs. From this perspective, the leader of the opposition role is part of a uniquely Singaporean adaptation, and its evolution reflects local priorities and values. What is clear is that Pritam Singh's loss of the title was not the result of a single decision or moment. It was the culmination of a legal process, a parliamentary debate about standards, and an executive judgment about institutional integrity. In the end, the episode underscores a deeper tension within Singapore's system, the desire to strengthen opposition participation while maintaining stringent expectations of conduct. The creation of the leader of the opposition role was a milestone in Singapore's political development. Its first removal has now become another, raising questions that will likely shape future debates about accountability, democracy, and the balance between governance and opposition in Singapore. And as Singapore continues to navigate these questions, one thing remains certain. The standards applied to those entrusted with public office, whether in government or opposition, will continue to define the credibility of its political institutions long after any single title is given or taken away. Yet Singapore's democracy is often criticized in the West as being incomplete or flawed. But is that really true? The US government shutdown in 2025 revealed how political gridlock and weak accountability can cripple systems often held up as democratic ideals. Watch the next video to find out why Singapore's model of democracy may be more effective and more resilient than the West.